A huge Sorare gallery review today, £106,000 gallery for Lucky Green. Of that, football makes up about £101,000 of that. So that leaves about £4,000 in the other sports. I'm just going to ignore that for now. I'm going to focus entirely on football. Discuss with him, where he's looking to have the key divisions. He didn't really know. He kind of plays everywhere. Not for sales or the 1 of 100 and things like that. The collectible versions, that makes a lot of sense. But, pretty much anyone is able to be chopped and changed here. In terms of any further investment, he reckons he could put, if he wanted to, about £7,500 more in. So if there's a clear strategy, he's willing to do it, but there's no reason to go out and spend it. But yeah, to get into it then, we're looking at, and obviously like a whale account, for example. So 13.7% win rate, it's medium good. I think it really needs to be improved, especially when you combine it with the top players. If your top players and your, recent rewards are limited cards, I'm not really seeing that payback for that sort of investment that you're getting here. Just breaking it down, I've broken it down by each scarcity, and it looks like limited takes up about £2,300. Rares take up £32,000, super rare takes up £43,000, and unique takes up £23,000. So the positives there are that you are playing every division. You're going to get a lot of utility out of your cards. Any negatives on it would be, I think we just need to think about where we're actually focusing, because running the numbers in the background here, one thing I'm not liking is that if you look at Champion Europe, he's got £16,000. If you look at Challenger Europe, 14,000. You look at America, 14,000. Asia, the same. It's a bit higher at 45,000. What I'm seeing in this gallery immediately is just like a scattergun approach. Like, I'm going to play everywhere. I don't really focus anywhere. I like this card, I'm going to buy that. Oh, I like this card, I'm going to buy that. And it's like, I think when you're spending this much money on a game like Sorare, it would be better for you. You'll be, performing better on the game if you had a little bit more focus. And obviously, that's up to you. But I think where I would focus is where you have your biggest gallery depth. And at the moment, that's Asia. Now, what I like about Asia is that I'd say it's kind of like a softer division, because over summer, I think, a lot of people like myself just transition away from not playing Sorare. So if you are coming in, you can fight up the division on a budget because people don't take it as seriously. I think that's a good start. But then even better than that, Asia are some of the cheapest cards on the game. So if you can put them into All-Star, you're kind of competing at a cheaper budget compared to everyone else that has entered maybe, say, Champion Europe and Challenger Europe cards into All-Star, whereas you're going to have the cheapest variant. So I think that's really good, especially if you pair them with America, because like I said, if you are really playing these divisions and you've got some absolutely killer players here, I think you should be putting them in All-Star to try and maximize your return, especially on the weeks where you expect to score really well. There will be some times where you think, okay, there's not that many people playing America this week, I'll drop them in there. But general rule of thumb is, if you think you're going to have a good week, you should be putting them in All-Star so you can compete for the higher rewards. On top of that, you get ETH rewards as well. So that's where I want to focus your gallery in terms of which regions we're going to play. But in terms of what scarcities you should play, that's key as well. Because I have no real problem with playing, with playing All-Star Limited or whatever league you're going to put your limited cards into. If we look at just football, I have it as about £2,300. But at the same time, if you're putting £2,300 in of a £100,000 gallery, it's almost like a bit of a time waste, like a bit of a time sink. Like if we go to some of your recent rewards here, I'm seeing so many tier 5s and tier 4 limiteds, which are pretty much just going to be like pennies. Even when you do smash and get a Bart Verbruggen here, for third place, a huge performance. What's he going to be, like £80 on a £100,000 gallery? I mean, for me, I just don't think it's worth it. Yeah, last sale, £77. So yeah, what I'd be looking to do here is start off by just clearing out some limited cards. You don't really need them. I just think from my experience, £100,000 gallery, you should be performing to a really high level in the super rare division. You should be trying to fight up a little bit for the unique division, and yeah, maybe just like additional spare card utility goes into rare or rare pro, something like that. So I think let's focus on your super rare division, and this scattergun approach really becomes a problem when you look at this. So if you think, all right, well, super rare should be my division to play, and I can play in Champion Europe, and then you look at your super rare Champion Europe team, and there's no excitement, there's no buzz in that for me in this sort of team. I don't really see much you can do with it. The same with Challenger. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, you could barely put out a team there. You probably couldn't. A lot of your money is tied up in youngsters. I think you're just waiting to hold, what I call project players. I don't have a problem with, a couple of project players in there. You just don't want too many where you're just sitting wasting capital. Like, this Charlie Stepford, right? He's 17. You must have paid about £2,000 for him or something similar. Yeah, just shy of £2,000 for him. You probably bought him a year ago. He's probably not going to play this year. Probably won't play next year. So, £2,000 locked up might not be the best idea. Of course, over £100,000, 2,000 isn't going to make much of an impact. But if you're doing it with this player, this player, this player, this player, it might get a bit out of hand. So yeah, just be aware of that. America, this has a little bit more of a chance, but I guess you don't have a goalkeeper. And this is where, we are just looking for a bit more focus. So like I said, Asia is where you have your most depth. So start there. I would also build out into America as well. Now, in terms of the timing of this, it's not great because obviously America and Asia are about halfway through their season. But at the end of the day, you've still got a good, sizable amount of decent Champion Europe and Challenger Europe cards that people will be looking to buy. And because of that hype for the European season, I would give it a week or two. Towards the end of this month, I think you should be selling up your Champion Europe, Challenger Europe cards and actually buying on the cheap some America and Asia cards and playing them in All-Star. Now, don't get rid of all of them because you'll need some for training and just playing, you said you obviously want to play most of the year. So yeah, you do want to have a little bit, but over the non-Asia, non-American leagues, I think you should be playing a little bit more for fun, and then you're looking to make your kind of returns when America and Asia comes back and you've got that really dominant team. So in terms of priority then, I said All-Star Super Rare should probably be your key division which you play all year round, and it's where you look to have the best returns. Next up, I think you should be competing, looking at Cap 220 and Cap 240 in Super Rare, but in unique as well, and that way you can push up and start trying to progress your gallery up the way. I think you might struggle at the minute, so we could start with 240, 220, sorry, but it is important to remember you can play one super rare in both of those divisions as well, so that's going to be a really handy help for you. I think if you can get the quality in the team to kind of progress upwards into that Cap 240, then you can hit, I think it's like $500 every week in the Cap 240 division. That would be huge for you. So that would be something I look to focus on. If we flip back to your priority lineup then, I think we need a card that's really just going to go and be one of the most dominant players in your gallery, what I call your ride or die player. Mitsuha is obviously young, got a lot of potential to score as well, but he's injured, so unfortunately it's not going to be him for now. We spoke about Setford, where he's not playing, he probably won't play for a little while. Castro is a great start for one of those guys, so someone in that region, with his sort of scores, I think you can, if you just have one player that's going to perform well, it's not going to go well. You need to start partnering them up with other good players. And when we're looking at, your whole entire gallery, 106,000, in your priority division, I think you can spend a little bit more than 2,300. In the last video, I got told to recommend players, and unfortunately I've done, a gallery review of an Asia America focused team, so it's not going to be my area of expertise, but someone like Eduardo seems like a really good scorer, 30 years old, one of the most dominant teams in the league. His super rare sold recently for as low as £1,400. Like, that seems like an easy pickup, give you a little bit of depth, play over, especially over the summer periods where you should really be performing well. To be honest, on your sort of gallery budget, you can be affording like super rare seniors and people like that. So yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to go out and get some heavy hitters and just reinforce the fact that super rare all-star or super rare cap 240, depending, if they fit in the cap or not, should really be a priority, and you should be smashing it consistently as much as you can. And the problem with why it's probably not happening is because you have so much depth in different teams and different players. You obviously need some of these strong rare cards as well, and I've discussed how you can sell off the limited cards to raise some money. You've looking to put some further investment in as well. But yeah, just clearing out, some of these challengers, some of these champion super rares and rares. You're really focusing on your niche, and it's going to give you a huge advantage over the long term, I think. So yeah, I don't think I've got too much to say on this gallery, because essentially I think it's quite an easy problem to solve where you're trying to do too much. You're playing every division, you're playing every scarcity. Condense it down, have a niche, have a focus. I suggest Asia because you've got the depth there. You can raise money from champion, challenger, things like that. Pretty much already discussed that. Go out and buy some, consistent high scorers that you can put into 1-5 or maybe have 10 of them, and just like, yeah, these players, when all fit, I'm going to do so well all year round. That will help get me sort of a yield. look at the cap 240s, both in unique and super rare. And then, yeah, anything else below that, obviously you should have like a lot of depth options where you can just play them in All-Star and things like that. But yeah, it shouldn't really be our priority. It's just kind of additional things. So anything else you think I can help with, let me know. But yeah, that seems like what I would do for now. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, yeah, and all the best to you. Cheers.